Please welcome to the stage Dilyana Totseva.
Hi everyone, I'm Dilyana from MentorMate, and today I'll present you the topic I'm not able to use this app because my fingers are just too fat. We'll talk about what is usability, we'll compare the usability review and the usability testing, we'll see some really good usability defect examples, we'll compare also and see examples of usability checklists and reports, and in the end, we'll discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both methods. What is usability and what it means to the ordinary person? We can say that it's how well and easily a user can complete a task and how happy he'll be about it at the end. Sounds pretty simple, right? So let's continue with one example. Imagine that you have a huge, huge hammer in your right hand, and in front of you is staying your currently ex-boss because he did not pay your last salary. You just know what to do with that hammer, right? And I'm sure that you take the most reasonable decision. The same is while in your left hand, you have loaded your financial management system, showing you your current amount in the end of the month. $45. That time, maybe you're not so sure how to handle. Anyway, we're seeing that the principle of usability applies to everything, from physical items like a hammer to all types of software application. For finding usability issues, first, of course, we need to know who are our users. What type of users do we have? We have users with fat fingers, right? We have users with thin fingers. We have users with small fingers, of course. We have users who are using only 1 or 2 fingers while typing. How many of you are using only 1 or 2 fingers while typing? Okay, I was not expecting hands. All right. So how many of you are using their 10 fingers while typing? Not that many? OK, yeah, that's better. So they are the hackers, the programmers, and of course, the quality assurance specialists, right? And it's not only about the fingers, actually. It's about our education. It's about our job type. It's about our age difference, right? All these users should be able to use that simple sign-in screen. Because the truth is that the people are lazy. We are lazy. I'm lazy. And I don't want to think while I register in some system. I just want to act fast. The truth is that today, the business drives usability. And if your user does not succeed from the first time, you may actually lose him, right? And the truth is that the same simple sign-in screen everywhere just works for me. I don't want more. When we talk about usability, first we need to make clear difference between expert usability review and usability testing. If they were scorecards, we can say that the usability review is a Porsche, a pretty decent car, everyone wants to try it, right? But actually, the usability testing would be in totally different league, named Formula. Why? In the usability testing, we have only one test driver, one expert, who is testing our system, trying to find the usability issues there and giving recommendations. While in the usability testing, we have many test drivers, right? Many test drivers who are actually testing the system and going in some predefined path. We are giving them specific tasks. Let's start with the basic for the usability testing. What we need for that? Actually, it seems that it's not that easy. First, we need usability testing web. Also, we need special equipment. It includes cameras, It includes different recording devices that should record our users' actions. A second, we need the users. We need the participants in our testing. They can be on our side, they can be on the client side, they can be independent one, like my grandmother, my grandfather, my cousin, and so on. And also, we need to give to them predefined tasks on our mobile or web application. Let's say that we are testing already existing system. Our goal of the testing will be to find which areas of the application provide the user with the most value, and is there an opportunity to improve the current user experience. We mentioned that we need predefined scenario. Let's look at one example, what it would be. Imagine that you just arrived to work and you're getting settled in on your desk, and then you realize that you forgot your keys inside the car. Of course, there are fancy systems that actually give us the possibility to unlock the doors of our car through the website. So use that system and unlock your car. We are seeing some real scenario of real usability tests conducted in such a special app. On one side, we have a web system which gives us the ability to unlock and unlock our car by tapping on the buttons. On the other side, we have actual user who is trying to lock or unlock his car. This is real test conducted in our company. As we can see, what we are tracking the user's actions, we are tracking the user comments, we are also collecting feedback of the user all the time. What the user gave us a summary at the end of the test. It turns out that actually to have the ability only to lock or unlock your car, it's not enough. The user has been searching at the beginning for visual indication. Is my car locked at all? Should I unlock it while it's needed if it's not locked, instead of trying and turn on the alarm, right? They are searching for much more visual information like some label, and they gave to us such a recommendation. But still, since you can agree that this is not the highest priority because even without that label, actually, I'm able to lock and unlock my car as many times as I want. So the priority here was set to low. OK, so far, so good. But as we are seeing, the usability testing is really not something that we can conduct at our office tomorrow, right? And we would like to be able to find the usability issues. I like to find them when I go to work tomorrow. How I can do that as quality assurance specialist and not only? The answer is through usability review. And the approach is, of course, once again, usability review. What the big book says about it? What is usability validation review? Usability validation reviews are structured means of examining the usability of an interactive system by evaluating it against a set of recognized usability best practices. Now, do you feel ready to perform usability review in your application? Raise your hand if you feel ready after that example. You did that already, right? Yeah, great. All right. For the rest of you, it's not that easy. It was not that easy for me as well. Then I started to think, what I want to be my goals here, what I want from that usability review. I want three simple things. I want to evaluate my system, or my web application or mobile one. I want to find the usability issues there, right? I want to find all the bugs. And at the end, I don't want these bugs only to be found. I want them fixed. But how the developer can know how to fix them if I give to him some recommendations. One question here that I often hear at the office is, who actually is responsible for the usability of the application? We know we are big teams, and most of the time, actually, the answer is the designer. Is that the designer because he's creating the initial design? Or is that the business analyst because he is talking all day with the client? Or maybe that's the developer. He's doing the implementation of the system, right? The quality assurance specialist, he's testing the system, it definitely should be his fault. Or the project manager, or whoever is leading the process. The answer is everybody actually should be usability experts, and they all should be responsible for the usability of our application. It's not only about the designer. It's not about the business analyst or the developer or the quality assurance and so on. It's about everybody involved into the process. I know that maybe you remember that long meetings at the initial start of the project, right? They could be 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours work with short coffee breaks and so on. And we are listening there, right? And that's the problem. We're only listening. And if you see something, you should raise your hand at the beginning of the process. Send an email. Speak on that meeting. It will be much interesting, by the way, if you're speaking there. Initiate another one. Find the problem until it's still minor. Don't wait until it gets into the user's hands, because at that time, actually, as we all know, it's just too late. For conducting successful usability review, we need to know our product from user perspective. Is that a startup project or already existing system? And who is the user using the system? What are his fingers, for example? And not only, we need a clear persona. As we mentioned, it's about education, job type, age difference. What is the user trying to do there? What is his goal? Is that the first time while he is using the system, or is something that he's already familiar with? Why that user is using the system? To check his amount, and also where the user is using the system. And here it's not really only about web or mobile application. It could be also about the physical place where the user can be. For example, if we are having person high in the mountains, work on a big science project to collect some data through our application, right? We need to support offline mode. We need to consider that. What are the different methods for evaluating the usability of the applications? For doing that, we need clear criteria, right? We need principles. And here we are asking for help Jacob Nelson, which give us 10 really good heuristics that we can use to measure our usability. Who are familiar with them? Who knows them already? Only one? Okay, so that will be interesting for you. He gave us 10 heuristics that we can use while we evaluate the system. They are the visibility of the system status. Do we have much between our system and the real world? Do we have user control and freedom there? The consistency of the system and the standards that are used. The error prevention, because we are all humans and we are making errors, right, daily. The recognition rather than recall. Flexibility and efficiency of use of the system. Aesthetic and minimalist design. Help users to recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. And also, last but not least, the help and the documentation. What we can do by using these measurable heuristics? Right here, good idea while we test the system for usability, actually to have usability checklist for conducting that. Why? Because for each criteria, we have specific details. Also, we can have predefined questions which can be executed while testing. There's no need to remember that. We can have written them down. Why? Because it's much easier, and also we can give them to any quality assurance specialist in our team, and not only, as we mentioned, to the whole team, and everyone can execute the tests and search for usability defects. For example, here we have the criteria visibility, and the questions that we can ask are, is the page wall type reasonable? Does the system always keeps the user informed what's going there through appropriate feedback? What's next in our system? And do I know if I completed successfully that action? Here we can mark each of the tests with already known status, passing or failing. So far, so good. That's one approach that we can use for conducting usability review. And still, there are other different methods with another set of user-focused heuristics, which are much more related if that's a mobile or web application. Let's look on them. What do we have here? We have the home page of our application, or the user experience upon landing. As the next one, we have the task orientation and how easy it is for the user to complete specific task there. We have the navigation and information architecture, or how easy it is for the user to handle in that application. We have the form and data entry. If I'm with fat fingers, will I be able to enter the data in the fields, right? Or that will be a little bit harder for me. The trust and the credibility of the system. Will I be able to use my credit card there? Or will I want to use my credit card there? Do I find that website trustful, for example? The quality of the writing and the content. The search feature and how useful I find them there. The help and feedback error tolerance. Once again, we are humans and we make errors. The page layout and the visual design, you already know how important is that. The accessibility of the system and the usefulness of the features there. Over here, once again, we can use checklist with specific questions. For example, for the task orientation, what we can ask. From only looking at the home page, does the first time the user understands where to start, or he is confused? Is the value proposition of the page clearly stated, like, okay, I'm here, I want to unlock my car, but how to do that? Or does the design of the home page actually encourage the user to explore the site? But as you see here, we are not using the pass or fail status. We are using different approach of measurements by using scores. There will be some math. I hope that now will be interesting. So we are using the Lake-Howell scoring system. It's actually really simple. For each of the answers, we give specific score. We give 0 points where we have major usability issue that definitely needs to be fixed. We gave 1 point for minor usability issues that needs to be fixed, and 2 points where we have good experience and no changes are needed. Enough with the talking. Now we'll see some examples. The fun part. We will see some good practices. we'll see some back practices, and we'll see how already some expert analysts already gave their scores. We can decide whether we can agree or disagree with them. Let's start with the first example. And as we know, on each demo at the end of the sprints, we are starting with what is already working, right? So we start with visibility here. The example is the Google Flight application that we are seeing. And the situation is we are about to fly from Sofia to Miami in the winter, let's say, and we have a connection flight at Frankfurt. We would like to know whether we'll be able to make the connection or we'll be sleeping at the airport again. So imagine that, of course, I have free Wi-Fi on my flight, and I'm checking the flight status. I'm on the flight from Sofia to Frankfurt, and if I am seeing green, I just know everything is fine. The flight is on time. There is no need to read additional information like on time or when is the departure time, the estimated arrival, and so on. I just know that everything is okay. But when I see red, okay, here I have a problem, and I actually need to run really fast on the connection flight, right? And over here, I definitely need to read the details. Now, of course, we continue with one not that good practice. What we have here, the criteria, once again, is the home page. And as you remember, it was related to the user experience upon landing. What we are seeing as issues here? We have really big hero image, which actually makes me feel that I'm so on some marketing website, and that's a system where I want to walk and unwalk my car, right? And actually, over here, I'm not able to see anywhere walk or unwalk what I'm doing here, right? As a second, I see a really small container with all the information about me. And because of the container is really small, I need to scroll a lot unnecessarily because the walk and unwalk buttons are at the end of the page. And also, why is that empty space? There is so much empty space, right? Which actually can be used for the label walk and unwalk. What do you think, Fear? How many of you actually would score that with 0? How many of you think that this is major? Raise your hand. All right. How many of you would score that with 1? All right, because it does not actually prevent us from walking on or walking our car, right? And how many of you think that it's 2? No one. Or 1? No one. Okay, so yeah, thank you, Joro. One thing that we can, you have fat fingers, says you scroll a lot, right? Usually. All right. All right, so we all agree that that's something that it should be fixed. Let's continue with the next one. What we have here, that's, by the way, Amazon. I walked 2 weeks ago there for buying some technical stuff, and what I'm seeing in the right corner, woman moving in beautiful dress. I needed just 2 seconds to realize that that's a dress shop. You see the small text there, dress shop, shop woman dresses. But actually, without reading that text, I already knew that it's a dress shop. It's a woman thing. I was convinced to buy a dress because that woman there makes me feel like I'm in a real dress shop. So this is one really good example for the criteria match between the system and the real world. The question here is why, when I asked my partner to open the Amazon website, the same woman was dancing for him. Should I be jealous? I have no idea. No man in some suite? I don't know, or maybe that will not look so appropriate, right? All right. The next one is also a good one. We have the help, feedback, and error tolerance. What we have here, mobile solution once again. We need to provide data for the fields and actually first we need to deauthorize them by tapping on the red arrow, which turns out that is actually a button. Deauthorize them there, right? It's red and it's there and it should be tappable. I'm not sure. It does not seem like a button to me. How many of you recognize that as a button? You have such experience from before, right? Yeah. So, you know, it's not okay if some things look like arrows, but they're actually buttons. They cause the user confusion. And this is one good example for the case that if your user does not succeed from the first time, you may actually lose him. The next example, once again, is a home page. And we are discussing the user experience upon landing. We have the same system from before, but the website. Once again, when we log in, we want just to walk and unlock our car. And what we are seeing, one really big hero image that makes actually the UI elements noisy and difficult to read. How many of you are able to read the My Retailer there? Okay, yeah, you're on the front row. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So, and also a lot of empty space that can be used for more reasonable reason, right? I mean, make the UI elements bigger, or just remove the big hero image. That would make so much sense. So how many of you are giving 0 here? Is major issue that should be fixed? All right, how many of you are giving 1? All right, and how many of you are giving 2? Okay, so we definitely agree here that it's something that should be fixed. Another good example, forms and data entry. Are my fingers too fat here or not? Sometimes actually it depends on how big is the screen of our mobile phone, but this will not be the case. We have 2 financial management applications. And for the first one, to log in, we need to provide our username and our password. And the second one gives us the ability to log in using PIN plus token. Actually, everything would be fine, but as we know, this is a financial management system. And here, since it's our salary, a really important thing at the end of the month, actually, we are not able to use some really simple password like 123 or test 123, right? T with capital T, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why? Because it's about our money, right? I'm not able to use that simple password, and because some hacker might try to steal it. It's not like in the movies. Actually, it would be much more easier, because while I'm typing this 123 password, actually, someone sitting next to me may try to look at it, right? Like on the last elections. And now we know that the password for the Facebook account of Trump's wife is actually Hillary after the last election, right? All right, so be careful. Even while sitting on that conference, someone may be looking at your password. And that's why we are not able to use a really simple one. And imagine that all the time when we want to check our amount, I need to enter that really long password, like, I don't know, at least 20 symbols long and so on. It would be really harder with that small keyboard and my fat fingers. It's much more easier here from usability perspective, instead of that, to use my PIN was token, because token what it is 5 symbols long or something like that, it takes only 1 or 2 seconds for doing the action. Our last example here, but not least, personally my favorite, one of our, it's related to visibility of the system. One of our banks recently updated in the summer its banking system. And there I have a credit card, which I'm not using for the last 2 years actually at all. I just know that I have it, 0 amount there. And when I log in the summer, for amount I'm seeing something different than 0. And maybe you think, what's the problem here? But actually, once I got my credit card stolen, and you just can't imagine how awful it was for me, because for this 40 level, actually, the police investigated me for 2 months, which was ridiculous, right? And that's why because I didn't want to do the same for a little bit bigger amount, I called the support immediately, and I asked them, what's going on there? Because why the amount is different than 0? And that guy told me, the support guy told me that on that specific day, I was 156 person calling them with the very same question, because they did not do usability testing, right? And after that, 2 days ago, they added one of the columns, the minimum amount that I should enter there each month, and they covered both of the two columns in red. Personally, I don't know, the red color actually does not help for me. It's not helpful for me because still as amount I'm seeing different than 0. But I guess for the users who use their credit card often, actually, this is really helpful because sometimes it's such a headache to find our amount after our latest transaction today. OK, we have our results here. How we can present them to the team? Because it's not only important for finding the issues. It's not only about being specialist good enough to find the issues. It's about how we give these issues to the team. First, the most visual approach is using a graph. It's a really simple one, by the way. We have scores, the average score for each of the criteria. We have the different criteria. We have the web application. We have the mobile application. As we remember, 0 was for major problems. 2 was for problems that we can live with them for now, let's say. These are really example scores. You can have different experience as specialists, of course. But how we can see the one with the smallest part, we should definitely work on that. For the one for which we have really high score, we can live with them for now. Also, another approach that I recommend to you is using usability report, issue report. And here maybe you ask me, I'm using Jira. I have fancy label there named usability. Why actually I should be using this usability issue report? That's one more document there, right? And the answer, the truth is that sometimes, or most of the time actually, some of the usability issues are set with priority minor because they are not crashes, they are not showstoppers and so on, right? And that's the reason that, you know, we have many sprints, and at the end of the sprints, everyone are nervous. We're usually close to the deadline, and the team actually ignores these issues. They're minor. And that's why it's not enough only for them to live in Jira, because they can live there forever. Get these issues, export them in separate document, and get the team together. Initiate the meeting. Show to the team these issues, and not only showing, have strong arguments, like the one that we saw from before, and convince the team that these issues should be fixed. Don't wait, once again, until it gets into the user hands, and maybe after having this fight, you'll be one idea much more happier as QA specialists, because they can get into the next sprint. At the end, let's compare the both methods, the expert review against usability testing review. And the truth is that using the both methods, as a result, we are searching for usability issues, design problems, and in the both methods, at the end, we want to have solutions, right? It's everything about the solutions. It's not only about the problems. The difference is that expert review is something that we can start doing tomorrow when we get in the office. It requires only 1 or 2 experts, sometimes up to 5. It depends on the goals that you want to get from there. It's quick, it's least expensive. You can have some separate part of your time doing the usability review. It does not require cost and efforts to recruit participants. You have already the participants. That's the whole team, right? While in the usability testing, we need to involve actual users. Maybe we need to pay to them, right, for doing that. It's not really cheaper. And we also there find problems that actually can only found by the users, something that maybe we will not be able to see. The disadvantages of the both methods is that when we talk about expert review, actually the quality depends there on the experience of the expert, like if in everything, right? We do not have there real feedback from actual users. And the truth is that it often can lead to user disagreements. I found this bug for really important with high priority, and the developer thinks that really, you think that this will stop the user from paying his bill? Or, of course, it looks like an error. I don't know why you're not seeing that. It's written, it's there. While in the usability testing, as we mentioned, it requires much more time, it's expensive, a lot of efforts to recruit participants. You may need to hire some independent company, and only finds the problem related to the tasks that you test. So having in mind that the expert usability review is something that we can do on our own, I'd like to hear from you some feedback after time, how you handle that when you get tomorrow in the office. Thank you for your attention.